Our third speaker of the day, Dr. R. Vaidyanathan. Dr. R. Vaidyanathan is a professor of finance and control at the IIM Bangalore. With his deep understanding of finance and economics, he has a rare capability of conveying his thoughts through humor. His focus on integrity and topics of national interest has made him the writer of choice for various media publications. His articles are highly entertaining and enrich the reader with profound knowledge. Today, Dr. Vaidyanathan will be speaking on the topic, stock markets or rigged casinos, in his own special way, which is sure to tickle your thoughts on the subject in a way which it has been never done before.
It's a very, we are in interesting time or fascinating times, one can call it, right? Every institution is emasculated, there is no, it's not a trust deficient or anything, it's a very understatement actually, there is no trust at all actually. The other day my very well-known friend, he went to a court, this actually happened 2 weeks before. He was one of those enthusiastic public interest type of person, against corruption. After hearing all that, court registrar finally told you have to give some money. This actually happened. This man was shocked actually. But he told, this is a very good cause, sir. It is all very important and these things should be taken up. But if you want to prioritize this, you have to. So he didn't know how to deal with this. I told. Because every institution is emasculated to the extent, I'll tell you, we don't have elementary, sense of credibility left. I was coming today actually, when cabinet minister was, I am coming from Bangalore. When cabinet minister, this I thought I will share it with you, was going, and a lot of this special protection group and huge number around him. There was a small girl, 6, 7 years old maybe. She was standing with her mother. I was also standing there, And this man was, obviously, everybody was asked to give way and, like he was going for checking in. Suddenly this girl looked at him and told the mother in Kannada, "You ashtu dodda kallaru, such a big dacoit is going." The mother was scandalized. She told, "Whoosh, he's not a..." Because she saw a person covered with so many, police and other things. The natural reaction of a child was that, and I was thinking about it. Then I was thinking about it. I actually thought he is much more right than us. The reason is, I really think now we should increase the SPG or this thing, because what will happen? It's actually, it is protecting us from him. It is not he is protected from anything, because if those people, cops are not there, for instance, he might have picked my pocket, that's quite possible. Right? Or some girls might have been attacked. So I think we have to, look at it in a very, because there is a lot of criticism. Too many cops are used for VIP security, and I think those are not justified at all. We should have more cops covering all these fellows, maybe 3-4 rows, and quietly take them out. This is where we are today. Every institution is completely emasculated. Very sad state of affairs. We do not have possibility of approaching credible, dependable institutions at all today. Whether by design or by chance, one after another you begin to really wonder what is actually happening in our system. Now, my friend Ajit Ranade, of course, has already mentioned why there is so much enthusiasm about stock market. I thought I will see the entire corporate sector, something like 8 lakh companies approximately, do not have more than 12 to 14% of the share in national income. Very approximately, if India has to be explained to somebody, it is 20% government, 20% agriculture, plus minus 18, 19. And then something like 12% corporate. The entire remaining thing is partnership, proprietorship, household, what is called unorganized sector. Right? It's very fascinating, because near my house there is one Darshini hotel. Fellow opens at 7 o'clock in the morning, closes at night 10 o'clock, every day 365 or 366 days of the year. Continuously serves quality idli, dosa, everything. Every day. And he is called unorganized sector. While the government of India is called organized. This I have a lot of. So this corporate is very, very small. Let's be very clear about it. And listed companies, last count is around 7,800. Of that, 50% last year was not traded even once. Zero. Something like what? 7 to 10 shares would be constituting 30 to 40% of our turnover. Very, it's a very, very small thing. And if you take the household saving, saving rate is, incidentally our domestic growth is due to our domestic saving. It is not due to FII plus FDI. FII plus FDI never exceeded in any year more than 8% of our national investment. 92% or sometimes more comes from domestic saving. Of that, again, 85% is household saving, not saving by government or corporate. Roughly 38% is our domestic saving today. Of that, 80% comes from household saving actually. And if you look at household saving 50-50, financial and physical saving, and the financial saving, something like 3 to 4% only goes to the stock market. Upper limit in the year 1992 when Arshad Mehta was the leading thing, it was around of the order of 14%. Otherwise, it has never ever exceeded 78%. We are primarily saving in provident fund, insurance, pension, then postal as well as commercial banks. So share market in that sense of the term is not corporate sector itself. I lightheartedly call, the corporate sector is some sort of an item number in our economy. Which gives you some, like everybody is enthusiastic, CNBC, I hope Assocham or CAA don't get annoyed with me, but that's a fact. And people like it, everybody, and they all feel that they are running the, show. It's not, actually. And they also periodically say, who is responsible for growth, whether corporate or government, neither of them. It's a very interesting type of debate, right? And within that item number, this stock market is something like your money, So that is where I would position the whole type of a debate. We are primarily Asia, including Europe. We are primarily bank saving countries. In Japan, actually, the interest rate at one point of time they were telling, you have to give money to keep funds with us. But still, Japanese went to the banks. You might be surprised. The aggregate saving of Japan, not more than 15% goes into the stock market. In spite of the fact they have got one of the phenomenally technologically advanced markets in the world. That is for the world, not for the domestic Japanese. Same thing with it. India, same thing with many other. The only country which is stock market oriented, if you want to call it, is US. That's only, every sort of 2/3 of the household are involved in that. The issue is in terms of what you call the rigged casinos or stock market. We have been attempting and we have succeeded to significant extent. Let's also have some amount of appreciation to ourselves compared to, say, period of 90s. If you had not been here, if you have come back, you would have found phenomenal amount of changes in the market, significantly brought about by technology. I think we should give credit for our technology bringing, because basically I have always been arguing, we are a relationship-based society. And we want to convert ourselves into a rule-based society. And technology helps in that to some extent. And it also reduces corruption. If you had gone, say, 20 years before, if you wanted to travel by train, you will know what I am telling. You would have gone and approached that man with a coat like this, exactly, black coat. And deep, like an umpire pocket, you will be having a, umpire pocket you would be knowing. The entire stump can go into that. You would be standing there, and then some negotiation will take place, and then he will say, wait, and all that. Now, one shot, this technology has completely abolished it. I was told, very interesting, in those days it appears, for ticket checking, in Bombay Central or Madras Central or Howrah, or the cabinet minister of railways used to ring up the GMs and say, these are the people whom you can imagine the amount of what one can call, these are all called ATM post. ATM is all-time money. These are ATM post. Today, I'm told, nobody is interested. because people, go through the net, and then the upgradation is also through the net. So technology can really create relationship based into a rule. That's what has happened there. If you look back, actually, people won't even recognize how much we have. We don't have an outcry system, of course. We completely have gone into system-based transaction. We don't have the question of bad deliveries. 30%. After so many months, suddenly the paper will come back to the seller, and it doesn't tally and other thing. Your signature doesn't tally, surname doesn't tally. Your dog might have eaten a part of the share certificate. Some coffee would have spilled over it. Hundreds of issues. One or two clerks will. They used to have. I used to remember actually. Some companies used to have a 62-point, cyclostyle or xeroxed. One of them they will tick and send it back to you. So I once sent for a change of address. They send your grandmother death certificate. So I told I didn't want my grandmother to die at all. No. Some one of them has to be ticked. Out of the 62 points, they will tick and send it back to you. The company is what are called but that's gone now. Then we had a this settlement period of 21 days. Off and on, BSE will combine various settlements. It won't take place. And it used to be then 1 week, 15 days, 1 week. Then there used to be batch processing and all that. We have now gone into T+2. Then in those days, there used to be small advertisements in many of the newspapers. I have got 37 shares. Do you have 13 shares? Odd lot. Then there are some fellows who specialized in odd lots. They were known as odd lotters, odd lot brokers, odd brokers. So they have all gone. No paper, no outcry. Outcry is completely, and now recently I was reading an article where even DMAT should be 100% made. Because if some of them are in paper form, some people are backdating and trying to manipulate the market. So we have sort of, we always, have this, what I call the pendulum regulation in India. It swings from one end to another end. So either outcry completely, or today there is absolutely no choice of. Even today in Japan and US, actually some markets still outcry system is there. We have moved quite a long distance in this pendulum regulation. It's always one extreme, or it's like flying Indian Airlines or your, this Kingfisher, or, there you have aunties and, elderly women and helping you. Here you have UKG girls, who do not know where the pilot is sitting. There, it's our 8th class or we don't have any something called a intermediate position at all in our thinking or market. Of course, everybody is talking about, can market solve all these? If you ask me, market really cannot take care of itself. This is one of the fallacies which is always propagated by people, that the market will take care of itself. I don't think in the written history of finance, whatever little I understand, I read, market cannot by definition take care of themselves. Market is a place where there are active participants. As he was rightly mentioning, when there is a wave of selling, there is a wave of buying. So there is, and every participant would like to enrich himself. And if, of course, as Mr. Anantaram very nicely put about the group behavior, if everybody is convinced that the other fellows are going to behave appropriately, then that would be one type of a situation. But there is always a possibility or a situation in which the member of the group would like to deviate. So market cannot solve all issues, right, by itself. So you require definitely a regulator. But the fundamental thing, if you look at it, whether it is in India or outside, but in India it is much more important is, who is the person? That's very, very critical. You may have hundreds of written rules, laws, another. For instance, in another field, we had H.R. Khanna, who was also the judge in the Supreme Court. And the recent one, the one prior to the current one, was also judge in the Supreme Court. The laws were same, rules were by and large similar, right? So it is extremely important in our context, who is the one who runs the show. And if you observe very carefully, very fascinating thing is, ours is different than the global situation. In global, normally they say, public institutions have significant continuity. Private institutions have significant discontinuities. In India, if you see, Many of the private institutions have significant continuity because of hereditary thing in terms of occupying position, private corporate sector or other type of private. But very interestingly, public institutions have significant discontinuity. If you look back suddenly, X person was in charge of regulation, Y person is in charge of regulation, you will find phenomenal amount of discontinuity, either on a positive side or, so given a set of regulation, given a set of principles, you cannot conclusively say that this is what is going to be done. I think extremely important is the person who sits in the chair, as what you may in a broader sense say, how much dharmic he is. That is what is very, very critical, for which we require to sustain and strengthen. We should not emasculate institutions. We must sustain and strengthen and see to it that many of these institutions are headed by people who are having extraordinary amount of capability, but much more important is credibility and trust. So that is what is the most critical thing. And because of the rigged casino issue also, I would like to quote a recent study I was reading in Der Spiegel in Germany. They have found out very fascinating thing, that at least 40% of the saving habit of people are related to their genes. Something very, very fascinating, neurobiological linkages with your attitude toward things, the way in which you are risk-taking or not risk-taking. So it is going beyond behavioral finance. Behavioral finance is talking in terms of loss aversion, risk aversion and other things. But something much more, that approximately 40% of the saving is linked with the genes. Of course, my student, I told one of them got it wrong. He thought it was the genes which is, the more number of pockets you save more and other thing. I have to explain it to him quite a lot. It is not, because there is a lot of communication, maybe because of generation gap also perhaps, right? Like once I told, a lot of these fellows who got into the stock market are not unable to come out, because entry and exit is supposed to be a critical, factor in the market, right? So I thought I am giving an analogy. It is, these are all million Abhimanyus in the Indian share market. You know how to, or you could enter, but you don't know how to come out of it. So I thought I am being very clever. One little young student, she asked me, sir, what is this gentleman? Mr. Abhimanyu, whom you are referring. I told, no, he comes in that. I know, sir, there are two stories. In one story, a woman was kidnapped. In another story, a sari was removed. Which story he comes, sir? You tell me. I thought, I told her, it is my story actually. I have to come and discuss financial matters in this situation. So there is, what I feel is, maybe after 5 years, your investment manager who is coming to meet with you for stock market discussion could come with a doctor. Possibly. Neurologist. It's quite possible. Even today I tell lightheartedly, all people are not having identical risk aversion. Right? Economists may say homogeneous expectation, all that, don't believe. There are different risk aversion. For instance, if your blood pressure is highly correlated with Sensex, I don't think you should be, when it goes down, this goes up. That's not a very desirable thing for you to be in the market at all. In other words, it is not required for everyone to be in the market. That's what is the most important thing. It's quite possible some people can be in RBI, invest in their bonds, or some people can invest in bank fixed deposit, or of course some people can also invest in these what you call plantation schemes and other things, on the other extreme. Right? So it is not a different different people's different karma. They have to do that, right? So it is quite possible some of the future developments might link the activities connected to the market with issues of health, issues of risk-taking ability, genetics, biology. So these are all going to be in some way or other interlinked. May not be today, but one is looking, ahead, or one is looking at it. So the type of regulatory framework we are going to evolve is going to be much, much more challenging. So from that point of view, it is required for us to think, ahead and see how we can have a orderly and systematic market. The last but not the least, he was mentioning about MRV being young and enthusiastic, angry young man, right? That is really, in a sense, it's good. He belongs to both the categories. He is both angry and he is young. And if you see, books like these are required. We require to bash up something. We require to bash up government. We require to bash up regulation. We also, no point in being goody-goody and, you are nice, and, sometimes we have to also have some people who, and it is backed substantially with references, and I would say chapter 9 and 10 is extremely important to read. Everyone should read 9 and 10. It gives in a sort of a synoptic way. Of course, everyone should buy and read chapter 9 and 10, not borrow and read or anything. Buy and read. So that would give us an insight into what he has been trying to communicate, and that's really a very wonderful, both the chapters, I would say. And thanks, of course, to Anurag and other organizer for providing me this opportunity to interact with this group. Right? Thank you very much.